planet Cronus. Beset on all sides by the tides of war, this once quiet colony became a savage battlefield. 7 armies clashed on this one world, each refusing to back down. Each convinced it was in the right. From beneath the sands of Cronus' central desert came the Necrons, ancient machines bent on eradicating all life. But another evil already had its eyes on the planet. From the depths of the warp, the demonic forces of chaos arrived to enforce their claim. To oppose these fearsome powers, the planet's rulers in the Tau Empire sent their elite soldiers and sophisticated battlesuits into the fray. From the mighty Imperium of Man came the Imperial Guard, there to secure Cronus for the glory of the God Emperor. Like a green tide, the Orc horde descended on Cronus, caring little for others' claims and sowing destruction in its wake. The Eldar, ancient enemies of the Necrons, emerged from their webway to pursue their own agenda on Cronus. And last came the Space Marines, finest and most uncompromising of the Imperium's soldiers. Seeing a world beset by aliens and heretics, they undertook a great purge. A dark crusade had begun. It could only end with the total victory of one of these factions, and the total defeat of all others. When the tide of war turned against the Tau, they faced attack in their stronghold in the city of Asharis, renamed Tash'n by the aliens. The aliens were well entrenched, however, and ready to mount a vigorous defense. Shas Okais, the Tau military leader, made his headquarters in a mighty citadel in the city's center, forcing attackers to wend their way through the tight city streets, exposed to sniper fire and ambushes. Outlying bases in different quarters of the city supported his strategy, with Krut warriors and powerful armored units harassing attackers even further. The Tau's only strategic vulnerability was Unity Plaza, the city's main public space. A sophisticated communications tower there could potentially be used by an attacker to expose the stealth units positioned across the city. Okais knew, however, that his attacker's ultimate objective would be assassination, not conquest. Onel Shiorez, a member of the mysterious ethereal caste, led the Tau forces from the citadel in Tash'n. Were he to die, Tau forces would crumble. But as long as the ethereal lived, the Tau would defend Tash'n against all comers.
Okais, are the troops ready?
Yes, Ornell. The Earth Caste is completing construction of the Montcar command post. Our armored units are ready to deliver the killing blow.
And our Krut allies?
Also ready, Ornell. The Kayun command post in the city's Krut quarter is prepared, and the Shapers have readied the finest of their warriors. Stealth teams are taking position across the city, ready to strike where the enemy is weak. Strike teams of fire warriors and Krut packs will defend the streets and meet the enemy head on.
Excellent, Commander. Patch me through to the troops, please.
Soldiers of the Firecast, Groot and Vespid allies, today we stand as a bulwark against the selfish, the soulless, and the mad. Today, we must drive back our enemies from our city and from our world. Today, more than ever before, we fight for the greater good, and we will triumph!
Return to the graves that spawned you, monsters.
Gladly, but first we must help you to yours.
Command posts, report.
Montcar command post online, Shazo. Crisis suits ready for combat.
The Kion post is safe in the crew quarter. We will defend it, Commander.
Excellent. Send strike teams at the enemy, but protect your positions.
They're in the quarter. The Kion command post is gone.
Do not surrender to despair. We have many forces left yet.
The Necrons have made it to Unity Plaza. Drive them back before they disrupt communications. The enemy has taken the Unity Plaza communications array. Team Sigma, they are targeting the array to disrupt your stealth fields. Fall back.
The enemy has overwhelmed us. The Montcar command post has fallen.
Take heart, fire warriors. The greater good shall prevail.
They are inside the Citadel. Crisis suits, attack. All crisis teams, engage the enemy.
Commander, the Necrons have found Onel.
Fire warriors, beat these horrors back. Protect Onel at all costs.
These creatures have no souls at all.
Onel is dead. We cannot win.
Fall back, now! All forces, fall back. Evacuate the city. We will return, Onel, to Tau for burial. There is nothing left for us here.
Eldar rely on stealth and trickery where others trust in direct force and valor. An ancient and debased people, the aliens only sully their hands in battle when they have no choice. When the Eldar's enemies at last tracked down their hidden base of operations in Tyrea, the far-seer Taldir turned to a strategy of trickery. In this, she followed the ways of her ancient and deceitful race. Her forces were centered on a great reinforced hill in a remote, frozen area with very limited access. To cut off these access points, the Far-Seer lured Cat's Paws to Tyrea. Orks, dissatisfied with the war of Warlord Gorguts, followed advice whispered by Taldir's warlocks and camped right where they could screen the Eldar from attackers. The Eldar, nevertheless, built a substantial force of their own. Advanced webway gates, allowed them to ferry troops from the Wraith ship hiding behind a holofield somewhere in the Cronus system. But these same gates were the Eldar's great weakness. If attackers could take and hold them, Taldir would be cut off from reinforcements and any hope of escape. Alone and outnumbered, the Eldar would be caught in their own trap.
All is prepared.
Excellent. Exarch Racanis, take your warp spiders to their positions and then return to the Aspect Shrine.
We are on our way.
You have doubts, Harlequin?
I trust in your vision, Taldir of Ulthway, but to stand surrounded by primitives makes me uneasy.
I understand your distaste. But Eldar rely on speed and stealth. We are not made for entrenched positions. The Orks, however, make for excellent tools. They will keep the supply roads closed and our true enemies weak.
And if these attackers defeat the Orks?
I do not doubt they will overcome our cat's paws. But it will cost them. And in their weakened state, they will face the wailing doom itself. The Seer Council has named the young king. Exarch Racanis of the Warp Spider Shrine shall sacrifice himself to awaken our most powerful warrior, the Avatar of Cain.
None shall escape my wrath.
You have come for me, Necron, and I await.
Finally, you accept the inevitable.
There's more than just puny Eldars here. We was right to split off from Gorguts' lot. We're gonna have us a proper war right here. War! We should use the Squiggles on them. No, leave them be. The Squiggles ain't trained yet. I don't want to get stuck scraping bits of you after their feet.
Return to the main base. Let our enemies fight amongst themselves.
Get them all!
Death will silence you, sorcerer.
Necrons! The Eldar has tricked us! Destroy these mechanical monstrosities, and then find me that alien witch!
The Bastion remains strong, Arcia, but the webway gates to your Wraith ship are vulnerable.
Our course is clear then. Protect the gates at all costs. Without them, we may never escape this world. We must drive the attackers back.
It cannot be!
Craftworld Ulthway will never stop opposing you, Necron.
The analysis of your technologies is complete, Eldar. We know you cannot escape this world without your webway gates. We will take them from you, and then purge this world of your race. With the Warp Sorcerer defeated, more of us have risen from the caverns below Eldar. Our purge grows stronger with every death.
Bloody Eldar tricked me!
We encircled your orc pawns in the mountains, Eldar. And now our forces have regrouped. It is time to end your tricks.
The enemy has taken a webway gate! Drive them back! The Wraithbone will never answer your call, outsider! Retreat, now! We cannot allow them to hold the gates for long! Show them no mercy, brothers and sisters! The webway is closed to us now. We are trapped on this world. The avatar of Cain has fallen. Go, all of you. Find what refuge you can in the wilderness of this world.
Escape is still possible, Farseer.
I do not deserve that title, Harlequin. My vision has failed us all. My fate is here, and I shall not flee from it.
Those opposing Warlord Gorgut's headhunters Green Tide faced the same challenge the Tau had faced on Cronus for generations. Pushing the Orks back from the deserts and cities was one thing, but dislodging them from the jungle was another altogether. Even the legendary Tau leader, Commander Farsight, had failed to purge the Orc-infested swamps of the Green Coast. Still, a complete purge wasn't necessary to break Gorguts. The Warlord had cobbled together his great horde, or Wa, in the parlance of the alien, from a large number of fractious clans and tribes. So long as the Warlord led the Wa to victory, their clan's loyalty was assured. But with enemies assailing them in their very homes, discontent reared its head among the Orcs. Secondary chieftains wondered if they might not make better warlords than Gorguts. With these fissures in the Wa widening, the Orcs' enemies struck. They drove deep into the Green Coast, hoping to eliminate Gorguts himself and plunge the Horde into infighting and rebellion. For Warlord Gorguts, the only solution was to crush the attackers under unrelenting waves of Orc warriors.
You think you can sneak about without me boys seeing ya? You think you can come for me, Ed?
Orks is never beaten in battle.
Shut it, you grot! The rest of them are coming and we got to be ready. Tell the boys there's some killing to do. I made them big banners to remind the clans that they better keep their boys in line. I don't want no squigheads looking to fight me when the enemy's right here.
Gorguts is the war boss. Got it, you mudsuckers? This here voicey box let him talk to you. So open your ears.
Listen up, you grots and squids. They's coming for us like we some kind of human kits, but we ain't. We's the Orks, and this here is gonna be one great fight. So get your choppers and your shooters ready, boys, cause there's some killing to do. Head Crushers, you ready? Foot stompers, you squiggers and such ready? Burner boys, you wanna fight? Rocket Rangers, you in it or what? And what about yous, quick mechs? You gonna let these other runts get all the good fighting done? That's right, we gonna crush 'em all. This here is a right and proper war!
Death has arrived. We come for you.
Death? You look more like a Yumi who needs some feeding, metal boy.
We exterminated all life on this planet once before, and we will do so again.
That was before me war got here. Now we the ones doing the exterminating. Head Crushers, they's coming for ya. You're in for the fight of your life, and the last one too. Ha!
Gorguts ain't so tough. Get him!
Ain't no grot lovers gonna leave me war. Chop 'em up, boys.
Boss! The head crushers is rebelling!
I can see that, you squig farmer! Shut your yap and get back to killing!
But killing who, boss?
The squig is loose! Clear out, boys!
Oh, no!
Here they come, foot stompers! Keep the trainer safe! I don't want no squiggets stomping our boys!
Oi! Gorguts' big banner just got itself stomped! We'll stomp all the Gorguts' boys!
You burner boy kids! They's right there! Get a burning!
Big banners burn good, don't they? That was the boss's big banner you get! Big boss banners burn real good!
What you doing, Rocket Rangers? They's coming for ya! Attack!
Told you the boss wasn't so tough! He can't even protect his own banner! Bet your Gorguts ain't so tough neither! Yeah, let's find out!
Here they come! Quick, mechs, blast them good!
Gorguts' big banner got blown up! Gorguts is a grot herder, that one! I should be boss! No way! I's the boss now! Gorguts let him take the Maw of Gork! He ain't no boss! Get him!
Metal boys! That'll go all nice on me pointy stick! Kill 'em, lads!
We are your end, alien.
If you mean the enemy pointy stick, I'm right there with ya. Ha ha ha!
Your bravado will not save you.
You just keep on talking, Yumi. I'll get to you soon enough. You ain't got me yet.
Boss? Who's getting shot up?
Ain't you the master of the obvious? Use explosives.
The what?
The bomb, you git. The bomb. Always have your tunnels dug and ready.
You sure is smart, boss.
Shut it, you git! I got me a whole war to rebuild. Now get me the gawk off of this here planet.
In a foul shrine in the Deimos Peninsula, lost souls summoned the Black Apostle Eliphas to Cronus. There, the Word-Bearers raised their black temples and launched their assault on the world. Eldritch energies split the earth with abyssal fissures and remade the lush jungles into a nightmare landscape, pulsing with ruinous energies. A master demagogue, Eliphas made an advantage of the fractious nature of those bent to chaos. Instead of relying on a unified defense, he allowed his champions and cult leaders to establish their own satellite temples, where they could pursue their own dark rituals. Any attacker who hoped to defeat the Word-Bearers would have to run a bloody gauntlet of heretics, including some of the Legion's most veteran Chaos Space Marines. Indeed, killing the heretics on Cronus was pointless so long as the Great Warp Portal and Eliphas's Bastion remained open. The dark spells of the sorcerers Amphion and Zathus maintained this massive rend in the fabric of creation, granting Eliphas endless reinforcements. So long as the Deimos portal remained open, there could be no victory on Cronus.
With the 37 keys of Tzeentch, we open the way for our brothers. With the 1,000 whispers of Slaanesh, we call to them. With the 12 plagues of Nurgle, we fell their enemies. And with the mighty axe of Khorne, we cut open the world for them.
Yes, come forth to bear the word of chaos. Hear my warnings, unbelievers, carried to your minds by the power of the Prince of Excess himself. We have raised altars in this land, so that we may sacrifice you to our gods. Veterans of 10 millennia of unholy war wait to grind you beneath the treads of their mighty boots. The chosen of Khorne hunger to add you to their bloody tally. The Blood God himself has marked this land and will claim your skulls for his throne. There is no hope in opposing the inevitable. Put down your arms, unbelievers, and bow before the forces of chaos undivided. Soulless automatons, you cannot prevail against chaos. Your soul is gone. I will destroy you. Kill or be killed. It is all a service to chaos. My legion will burn your false idols to ash. Chaos cannot be denied. is a poor shepherd who blames his flock apostle. This failure is yours and yours alone.
No, I will not go to the Basilica of Torments again.
Fear not, apostle. The Basilica is reserved for those who may redeem themselves.
No. No!
You will have no such chance.
The Space Marines of the Blood Ravens chapter were well entrenched in their castellum in North Vandea when they finally faced an all-out attack. Utterly unwilling to surrender or retreat any further, the Blood Ravens prepared a mighty defense against the coming assault. Among those defending the keep were Space Marines drawn from the chapter's hallowed First Company. These were the hardened veterans of many crusades, each man ready and able to face down whole squads of enemy attackers. The Blood Ravens on the ground would be further bolstered by fresh troops arriving from the battle barge Litany of Fury in orbit around the planet. Only two factors made the Blood Ravens at all assailable in their stronghold. Most critically, the fortress was unable to receive reinforcements directly from orbit. Captain Thule thus had to establish a forward base to receive drop pods and landing craft. Although well defended, this base could be taken. Secondly, the Space Marines had established their base near ancient ruins, which the Ravens claimed held relics of great importance to the chapter. Unwilling to desecrate the space by fortifying it, Thule opened the door to an enemy claiming the area and thus dealing a powerful blow to the normally unbreakable Space Marine morale. The Battle of North Vandea would be one of the bloodiest of the entire war.
The enemy is at our doorstep and thinks he can push us off this world. He is already gloating. He can taste his victory. But what he fails to see is that we will make this his last meal. The Chief Librarian has ordered the purge of this world to protect our chapter's secrets. Are we to retreat with our duty unfulfilled? Are we to let a black mark stain the banner of the Blood Ravens? I say that we will not. I say our enemies will regret the day they ever decided to face us in battle. Our battle barge orbits overhead and will rain the Emperor's holy fury upon our opponents. More of our brothers will come to join the fight. But as ever, our enemy outnumbers us. Each of you must be an army in your own right. Veterans of the First Company, the finest of the entire chapter, stand with us. Let their valor guide your fire into the enemy's heart. Remember that we are Blood Ravens, brothers. We have all sworn to protect fonts of hidden knowledge. Each one of us must fall before handing this word to the enemy. The Emperor is with us. The unknown Primarch is with us. They have come for our blood, but they will drown in their own.
Death has come for you, Space Marine.
We are the Emperor's finest. We will not fall to you, alien.
Your end is inevitable. Submit and spare yourselves the pain of living.
Reinforcements have arrived. To battle, Blood Ravens!
For the Emperor!
Hold the relay station! We must keep in touch with the Litany of Fury! Brothers, the enemy is feeding coordinates to the battle barge. Prepare for incoming orbital fire! The enemy is trying to cut off our reinforcements! Drive them back! Enemies are near the chapel, brothers! Close ranks and attack! Hold the east gate at all costs! This fight isn't over yet.
But your life is.
The enemy is at the western gate. Hold fast, brothers! We will drive you from there, Necrons!
You will only follow your Emperor into death.
The Emperor protects us. We will not fail.
You will.
For the Emperor! No! We cannot fail.
Understood. Join them, Brother Apothecary. We will cover your escape. And you?
We cannot allow the enemy to claim our relics. This area must be cleansed with orbital fire.
The chapter will honor you, brother. There is no honor to be had in defeat.
But someone must deliver the targeting beacon.
Orbital control. Lock onto this beacon and fire. Full power.
Upon arriving on Cronus, General Lucas Alexander became Governor Militant and set about reclaiming the planet for the Imperium. When his enemies launched attacks on his capital, he prepared to repel them with extreme prejudice. Experts in planetary defense, the men of the Imperial Guard were heavily dug in and fortified in Victory Bay. Any attacker would face well-armed and well-supplied soldiers, backed by powerful armored columns and artillery positions. The Guard's only real weakness was its morale. Although most soldiers served honorably, the men of the regiment's 5th Company had proven less than stalwart, and were placed under command of Regimental Commissar Anton Gebet in a forward base on the northern shore of the Victoria River. Without Gebet's whip, the company and its base would surely fold. Other companies took position in forward bases in more sensitive areas, ready to drive the enemy off. Still, determined attackers could overrun those positions. Governor Alexander remained confident, however. Indeed, any opponent who made it past his forward positions would find themselves staring down the barrel of the massive Hellstorm cannon of an Imperator Titan.
Fifth Company, this is the moment of truth. You will not fear. You will not falter. You will not give a single step to the enemy.
But sir...
If you will not serve in combat, then you will serve on the firing line.
Enemies of the Imperium, hear me. You have come here to die. The immortal Emperor is with us, and we are invincible. His soldiers will strike you down. His war machines will crush you under their treads. His mighty guns will bring the very sky crashing down upon you. You cannot win. The Emperor has given us his greatest weapon to wield. So make yourselves ready. We are the 1st Cronus Regiment, and today is our victory day.
Death has come for you at last.
The Necrons are here. Drive them back to their tombs, men.
It is your men who go to their tombs, Governor.
I have the enemy in my sights.
1st Company, hold the enemy back, no matter the cost. Sergeant, get me control of those streets.
By the Emperor, you will have it.
Firing solution plotted.
Now you will see what it means to face the Imperial Guard. Artillery, open fire! Send a platoon to secure that location.
Executing your orders, sir! Look out! Here they come!
Second Mechanized Company, the enemy is at your doorstep! Push them back, damn it! The enemy has knocked out Second Company's fire control system. Our air support is gone. Liberators, the enemy has made it to the northern shore. Redeploy to drive them back. We're under fire! Third Company, hold the line! The Emperor demands it! Go, go, go! On my command, fire the Titan cannon. Fire! Begin recharge. I want that gun firing again.
We have purged your bootlick, Governor. You will be next.
Damn you, monster! The Titan cannon power grid is under attack. Redirect fire to protect it and initiate repairs.
I will ease the machine's pain.
Just keep it online, Tech Priest. We must disrupt this attack. Tell the Vindicare Temple to eliminate their commander.
One chance is all I need.
I am under attack!
Protect those generators, men. The power grid is gone, but the Emperor is still with us. Give them hell, men!
My lord, the enemy is building generators to feed power to the Titan cannon. This will allow them to fire the great gun.
Damnation! Attention, all troops! The enemy has control of the Titan gun. Use extreme caution when passing through the trench.
The Nightbringer has come for you, Governor. So much fear, so much noise.
We can't hold them back much longer. We can't allow the Titan cannon to fall into their hands. Overload the core.
For the Emperor.
The full extent of the Necron presence on Cronus did not become clear until those opposing them launched raids into the Catacombs under the Thur'Abis Plateau. The first Necron massacres on the planet had occurred there, and their enemies expected to find some sort of alien bastion. Instead, they found an entryway into the underworld. Garbled reports from doomed scouts sent into the cavernous passageways revealed a network of catacombs honeycombing the entire plateau. Some of these now stood hollowed out, while others served as staging grounds for Necron forces. Worst of all, however, were the deeper tunnels, where row upon row of Necrons still stood, slowly waking to join their lord's global genocide. The attackers settled on a dangerous gambit. A strike force would enter the catacombs and plant a massive explosive device deep in the main cavern. An explosion there would collapse the entire network, crushing or sealing off the legions of still dormant Necrons and shattering those already risen. It remained to be seen if anyone could deliver this device, much less escape in time to continue the fight across Cronus.
Fall back and regroup!
Lucky creatures. At long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons, while the living grew like weeds. My lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Cronus will be a tomb world once more.
Captain,
I can
the Tech Marines report that the plasma bomb is ready.
Thank you, brother. We must now deliver it into the belly of these alien catacombs and bring the sky crashing down upon these Necrons.
Though it may cost our lives, we will not fail the chapter.
We fail if we give our lives needlessly, brother. To die in the chapter's service is praiseworthy, but not if it leaves us without the means to fight the battles to come.
Your leadership is our most valuable resource, Captain. The enemy you above all must survive to continue the campaign.
And so I will, brother.
Captain, our sensors are picking up unknown energy readings from these points.
We'll have to find out what's there. I don't want any surprises on the way out, Sergeant.
You have penetrated but the very surface of our catacombs. More and more of us rise from the depths with every passing moment.
We strike with the
The energies are coming from that alien artifact. It must be some form of weapon. Destroy it before they can target our men.
We are deathless interlopers. Under the shadow of the beacon of unlife,
what is your order?
The fallen rise again.
Heresy grows.
These particular catacombs seem devoid of Necron defenders. If we can find a second access point, perhaps we can use them to our advantage. Another Necron artifact. Destroy it!
Darkness veils your eyes and dulls your senses.
My power armor.
Before the beacon of the deceiver.
Cleanse.
We are like deadly shadows.
We stand ready
from your sight.
Excellent. Another access to the emptied catacombs. We can move troops through here with ease.
This is the judgment of the righteous.
Necron monoliths. Brothers, destroy these Xeno abominations before they rise to attack us!
We will destroy the enemy. Transport here.
Another Necron artifact. Destroy it!
Time itself bends to the will of the Catan fools. Come before the Chronometron beacon and be frozen into the stillness of death.
Another Necron artifact. Destroy it!
All machines serve the Catan in the end. Bring your vehicles before the beacon of the Void Dragon and watch as they turn against you.
Think for yourself. I am the instrument of his will.
Predator at your command. Land Raider.
I shall not die on this day.
Once more, we go to battle.
Of the Emperor. Brothers, the plasma bomb is planted. We make for the surface.
Make way.
We have purified this place.
By Vandea path.
The enemy is attacking.
Back, my lord. The living are escaping. My lord, the living have...
The Necrons had lain buried in the sands of Cronus for eons, having retreated there at the end of a great war only hinted at in the histories of ancient races like the Eldar. Long before man even stood upright, the Necrons and their dark gods had retreated to their tomb worlds. But their slumber was not eternal. Eventually their genocidal deities awoke them again, driving them to purge the life that had spread across the galaxy during their sleep. On Cronus, this awakening came when an archaeological team opened a mysterious crypt on the arid Thur'Abis plateau. Most of the team died, but expedition leader Thomas Maccabee somehow became one of the mysterious Necron pariahs. Seemingly retaining a hint of his personality, he occasionally spoke for the Silent Army as it advanced. The Necron Lord of Cronus, the most ancient and powerful of the deathless creatures on the planet, promptly launched a campaign of extermination. His loathsome god, the Nightbringer, hungered for the deaths of all those on Cronus. In the clash between the young Tau Empire and the ancient evil of the Necrons, antediluvian determination won out over youthful exuberance. For all the tactical skill of Commander Okais, the Necron wave was unstoppable, and they purged Asharis just as they had all other regions before it. The retreat of the Tau forces left the remaining civilian population of Asharis unprotected from the Necron purge. Once their cold-blooded slaughter completed, however, the Necrons simply abandoned the city and its surrounding communities to the ages. Automated vid systems still broadcast images from the desolate streets, the bleached bones of Tau, Kroot, and humans lying still in the ash-strewn streets. The Eldar had come to Cronus specifically to face the Necrons, and when the Deathless Army marched into Tyrea, they got their chance. For all the lauded foresight of their Farseer, however, the Eldar were unable to stem the Necron tide and fell under the power of their weapons. The dreams of craft world Ulthwé came crashing down under the metallic heel of their ancient enemies. The Necrons directed much of their energy to destroying the various wraith-bone structures left by the Eldar. This eldritch material is said to emanate directly from the warp, which seems to have offended the Deathless Warriors even more than the existence of life. The thin spires built by the Eldar collapsed as gas flares and alien blades cut them into their atomic components. Only when the works of Farseer Taldir were blasted to nothing did the Necron tide move on. Two unrelenting tides crashed into one another as the Necrons moved into the Green Coast. Imperial citizens can be forgiven for rejoicing to see the barbaric Orkish horde face the merciless advance of the ancient Deathbringers. No matter who won, however, the cause of man suffered. And when the Necron scythe decapitated the Orc horde, it was only one step on their march of galactic extermination. Orkish hordes are notoriously difficult to eradicate, since the beasts reproduce at a phenomenal rate. Indeed, Kronos' jungle had been the domain of feral orcs long before Warlord Gorguts arrived. The Necrons, however, applied their murderous resoluteness here as well, and systematically purged the jungle, one step at a time. Millions of orcs ultimately perished, each death a pleasing sacrifice for the Nightbringer. In the most ancient of Eldar myth cycles, there are tales of the Necrons' bloodthirsty deities clashing with the powers of the Warp. Thus, the Necron assault on the Chaos Stronghold was something of a reenactment of that prehistoric war. The merciless wave of the material Necrons clashing with the unbridled madness of the Immaterium. Despite black sorceries and the rage of foul demons, even the traitor Space Marines could not stop the unending tide of Necrons. The Nightbringer's servants remained in Deimos for some time after their victory, seemingly focused on purging the very soil there, which had been tainted by the power of the Warp. Necron gas weaponry atomized every last Chaos Temple and artifact left, not to mention all the corpses and the unfortunates who survived the initial attack. By the time the Necrons moved to their next target, the Peninsula had become a scorched desert of ash and dust. Even the elite of the Blood Ravens could not hold back the murderous advance of the Necrons. The Necrons answered the Space Marines' shouted benedictions with stoic silence and murderous blasts from their Gauss flares. The aliens were uninterested in any arcane secrets that might have been hidden in North Vandea, utterly ignoring the scorched ruins of the Blood Ravens' chapel there. Their gruesome warriors flensed the flesh from every Space Marine left on the planet, but left their holy battle armors and other relics to corrode in the harsh weather. Tragically, among the flesh reduced to particulate ash was the gene seed of those Space Marines, dealing a near-fatal blow to the chapter. By taking North Vandea, the Necrons defeated the Blood Ravens on Kronos. But by purging the genetic heritage of all those fallen battle brothers, they may well have destroyed the whole chapter. Imperial forces had faced Necrons before, notably on Lorn 5 and Verdus Prime, and it had cost the champions of man dearly each time. On Kronos, things only got harder. And when the Necron forces swept into Victory Bay, even the raw power of the revived Hellstorm cannon could not stop them. The Necrons showed cold contempt for the works of man, as they murdered the last tech priests and guardsmen in Victory Bay. With none left to fear them and none left to die, they simply moved on to the next conquest. The remains of the great Titan gun, they ignored altogether. Even its mighty power, paling in comparison to the galactic genocide their gods demanded. By the end of the Dark Crusade, Cronus was a tomb world once more. Just as the marching Necron armies cut down all their opponents, so did other fiendish devices work on the planet's very ecosystem. Scarab swarms scoured the lush jungles of the south and the fertile plains of the north, while pulses of loathsome energy killed even microscopic bacteria. The seas died and the air itself became rarefied and poisoned. Soon, sterile sand and dust swept across the Cronusian landscape, broken only by black monuments to the Nightbringer. Cronus became the black heart of the Necron purge in the eastern edge of the galaxy. Warriors emerging from the monoliths of Cronus would bring death to worlds across the Tau Empire, the domains of Ultramar, and many more sectors. Imperial strike fleets, Tau battle formations, and Eldar raiding teams would all try to retake Cronus, only to fall before the huge crypt vessels protecting the Tomb World from orbit. Each heroic effort only added more deaths to the Nightbringer's tally. The powers of chaos manifested in the once pleasant Deimos Peninsula on the southern coast of Cronus, transforming it into a blasted hellscape. Summoned by heretical cultists, the Black Apostle Eliphas the Inheritor emerged from the warp, leading a whole company of the Word-Bearer Chaos Legion. These heretical space marines had been to Cronus before, fighting against their loyal brothers during the dark days of the Horus Heresy. Eliphas had been but a young champion then, but returned a terrible Chaos Lord, ready to bring ruin to the galaxy at large. The Dark Crusade would be his proving ground. By defeating the many powers vying for the planet, he sought to gain favor with the dark gods he worshipped. Unless they could be stopped then and there, the Word-Bearers would strike deeper into the Imperium. The massed Orc clans threw their full might against the tide of the Word-Bearers. But in the battle between heretic and alien, the blasphemers triumphed. Indeed, as is their way, the forces of chaos sowed dissent and conflict among the Orcs. The once unified band of Warlord Gorguts fell into fractious infighting just when he faced the warp-powered heretics. The slaughter that ensued was of epic proportions, but Eliphas the Inheritor's true objective was simpler. The Black Apostle recovered from Gorguts the skull of Krull, the Butcher of Lorne 5. This debased heretic had led the so-called Blood Legion of Khorne and faced the Imperial Guard's 412th Cadian Regiment. Eliphas claimed his severed head for Khorne's Skull Throne, obtaining in this way the favor of the most terrible of the Chaos Gods. Eliphas the Inheritor's defeat of the alien forces of the Tau Empire led to a twisted parody of inquisitorial practices. The Word-Bearers celebrated the death of Aunel Shorez and pointed to the Ethereal's demise as evidence of the falsehood of Tau idols. The heretical propaganda surrounding this event saw the Word-Bearers spitting back at the world the same accusations used to damn them. They called the Tau heretics and infidels, faithless creatures who worshipped empty ideals under the boots of the Hierophantic Ethereal caste. These acts were all directed at pleasing Lorgar, the Word-Bearer Primarch, who is said to rule the Legion from the demon world of Sicarus. The founder of the twisted faith preached by his Legion Lorgar is said to hate the irreligious above all others. If so, it is not hard to imagine him smiling over the slaughter carried out in his name in the Tau cities of Cronus. Faithful subjects of the Emperor understandably took heart to see the word-bearers strike at the heart of the Necron infestation of Cronus. With two implacable evils turning on one another, the thinking went, the forces of right couldn't help but win. Unfortunately, Eliphas the Inheritor would emerge from his victory in the Thur'Abis plateau more dangerous than ever. Imperial commanders could not guess that the Necrons held strange technologies and artifacts that were as hateful to the powers of chaos as they were to life itself. By shattering the basalt monoliths and unholy archives of the Necrons, Eliphas was striking at one of the only forces, other than the God Emperor himself, able to push back the ruinous powers. In so doing, he not only removed a threat to his power, but gained the favor of Tzench, one of the Chaos Gods of the Warp. His dark crusade would carry the sanction of the God of Sorcery from that day onward, making it all the more unstoppable. Governor Militant Alexander's naming of his capital proved highly premature, as Victory Bay saw his troops broken and slaughtered by the powers of chaos. Eliphas the Inheritor led an unholy procession through the streets of the shattered city, his cultists shouting out terrible supplications and gathering up the dead and wounded. These unfortunates were brought before the great Hellstorm cannon that had formed the center of the Imperial defense. Eliphas' sorcerers, Amphion and Zethus, then performed a terrifying ritual using these rotting corpses as their sacrifice. With their dark words, the demon of plague and rot bound into the canon during the Horus Heresy awoke anew. The word-bearers celebrated this day as that when their new crusade obtained the support of Ner'gul, the Chaos God of pestilence and decay. The Eldar of Craft World Ulthwé came to Cronus pursuing their alien agendas, but in the end did nothing but feed the power of the Chaos Lord Eliphas the Inheritor. Despite her use of Orkish servants and even a rival Chaos cult, the witch Taldir was unable to hold back Eliphas's forces, who cut her off from her vessel and subjected her people to the most terrible of fates. To celebrate his victory over the Eldar, Eliphas had his men crack open all the aliens' waystones. According to the black texts circulated after this dark day, these eldritch gems held the souls of the Eldar, keeping them from feeding the powers of chaos. By breaking the waystones, the word-bearers fed thousands of Eldar souls to Slaanesh, the Chaos God of excess and decadence, and obtained that dark deity's favor for their dark crusade. The word-bearers' victory over the Blood-Raven Space Marines was a terrible blow to the Emperor's faithful. The Ravens fought nearly to the last and blasted the landscape with orbital fire, rather than see their relics fall into heretical hands. But their sacrifices ultimately seemed in vain. Indeed, Eliphas the Inheritor saw North Vandea as the site of his most critical victory. Mad preachers took to the streets of Cronus' cities, claiming that by breaking the Blood Ravens, the word-bearers had obtained the personal sanction of War Master Abaddon for the Dark Crusade. It was never clear why the deaths of Blood Ravens, a chapter whose history does not go back to the Horus Heresy, would be especially pleasing to Abaddon. Nevertheless, the forces of the word-bearers fought with a new and terrible certainty from that point on. By the end of the Second Cronus War, the foul banner of the Word-Bearers flew across the entire planet. The very Earth cracked with the foul energies unleashed there. Warp storms racked the sky, and demons spread across the land. Where once a prosperous colony had stood, a foul demon world burned like a canker in the void. Black cathedrals rose in all its cities, and the entire population either converted to the blasphemous faith of Chaos Undivided, or became fodder for its blood sacrifices. The loss of a single world and a few 100 million souls would soon pale in comparison to Eliphaz's next acts, however. Soon after his final victory on Cronus, sorcerers called forth legions of demons and other foul beasts, while chaos fleets appeared from the warp. Cronus became the launching point for a campaign of conquest that would cut through much of Ultima Segmentum as it drove toward Holy Terra itself. The war for Cronus was but the dawn of the Imperium's darkest day. In the depths of Craftworld Ulthwé, the Eldar Farseer Taldir foresaw the return of the Necrons and their campaign of galactic genocide. She had driven the Imperial Guard on Lorn 5 against this ancient foe, but the threat remained real. When the Necrons rose on Cronus, Taldir faced a new problem. This planet on the galaxy's edge was beyond the reach of the Eldar webway. Instead of traveling from the craft world via this ancient system, Taldir's forces arrived aboard her wraith ship, the Vision of Lilith. This alien vessel hid at the edge of the system while an advance party took a small shuttle to the frozen wastes of Tyrea. There, they erected special gateways linked to the holds of the Vision of Lilith. The Eldar found the planet in a sorry state. The Necrons were on the march, and the assortment of other powers on Cronus could not be trusted to stop them. Abandoning her habitual manipulations, Taldir ordered her forces to begin an all-out conquest of Cronus. If none of the Mon-Kai would stop the Necrons, the Eldar would do it themselves. Taldir's forces struck like a razor-sharp blade into the heart of the great Orkish horde, decapitating the Wa and plunging the remaining Orks into destructive infighting. Showing their contempt for the brutish warriors, the main Eldar force withdrew from the Green Coast immediately after it had disposed of Warlord Gorguts. Only a small cadre of rangers and a single warlock remained in the jungle, using their camelioline cloaks and other devices to remain hidden from the warring clans. Anytime a chieftain seemed to be gaining enough stature to assemble the Orks into a viable force, the Rangers assassinated him, plunging the wild aliens into another cycle of infighting. Meanwhile, the warlock Inimaya, a member of Taldir's Seer Council, repeatedly offered poisonous aid to various Orc chiefs, sending them at each other's throats and keeping the race as a whole weak. Although the Necrons were Farseer Taldir's true prey, the Eldar hatred for the ruinous powers of Chaos was almost as great. Legends hold that the Chaos God Slaanesh was born from the fall of the original Eldar civilization, and Taldir's followers were anxious to beat back the human heretics who worshipped such a creature. Taldir's most senior aspect warriors led the drive into the Deimos Peninsula, singing the name of the Eldar war god, Kayla Menshakain, as they cut through the madmen, traitor space marines, and demonic filth arrayed against them. With the Chaos Gates closed and the Word Bearers broken, Taldir ordered her Aspect Warriors to withdraw. Her warlocks then performed a great cleansing rite. From orbit, kilometer-long runes appeared in bright fire, announcing the Eldar victory for all to see. Taldir's manipulation of the Imperial Guard on Lorne 5 had resulted in her branding as an enemy of the Imperium. General Lucas Alexander had led his troops against her ever since. When the Farseer at last sent her troops into Victory Bay, both sides knew that this long chase was finally over. Alexander's men fought with bravery until the end, but the Eldar's combination of stealth, speed, and alien ruthlessness overwhelmed them. The hunt for Farseer Taldir ended with the swing of an alien blade. The tech priests in Victory Bay sabotaged the great Hellstorm cannon there, lest it fall into Eldar hands. But the Farseer still ordered her Bone Singers and Guardians to load the mighty gun with distort charges. When these warp power weapons detonated, they shattered the cannon into countless pieces. If there was any hope at all of ever restoring this mighty weapon to the Emperor's service, the Eldar dashed it forever. The Eldar assault on North Vandea broke the back of the Blood Raven's presence on Cronus. Not only did Taldir's forces kill many of the finest warriors in the chapter, but they claimed many of the relics the Blood Ravens were so anxious to hide. Although Chaplain Miklas sacrificed himself to destroy at least some of the chapter's dark secrets, others fell into Eldar hands. Taldir's warlock's treatment of the corpses of fallen space marines was even more galling to the surviving Blood Ravens. As if expecting them to be the source of some pestilence, the alien sorcerers incinerated every last Blood Raven body left in North Vandea. This made any planned operations to return to Cronus and recover the gene seed from the fallen battle brothers pointless. The chapter vowed revenge for the loss of its valuable gene stock. The Eldar assault on Asharis pitted speed against speed and stealth against stealth. Ultimately, it was the ancient sorceries of Taldir and her seer council that prevailed over the alien technologies of the Tau defenders. The death of the Tau's ethereal ruler broke the morale, and Taldir simply allowed Shas Hokais to withdraw from Cronus. The Eldar showed utter contempt for their enemies, and simply left Asharis to its fate once the Tau had withdrawn. In the wake of the battle, humans freed from centuries of alien bondage took to the streets and exacted some measure of justice upon the Tau civilians left behind. Revenge led to madness, and soon Asharis was ablaze. Farseer Taldir having as much concern for the lives lost there as a man might for the ants under his feet. Farseer Taldir personally led her forces into the catacombs of the Necrons and delivered the massive plasma bomb that collapsed the catacombs, bringing tons of rock down on her foes and many of her own warriors. Perhaps to atone for this, she also led the efforts to recover the remains of the fallen. During the somber triage, Taldir uncovered the Tomb of the Lost, a crypt built eons ago by the Necrons to enshrine the remains of their victims. Within were the remains of several ancient Eldar, warriors in the First War against the Necrons. Taldir would return these to Ulthwé with great ceremony. Perhaps it was the presence of such antediluvian relics that drove the Farseer to complete her conquest of Cronus. Even with the Necrons defeated, she drove her forces forward into the territories as yet unconquered. No rock could be left unturned, she said, lest the Necrons rise anew on this world. The alien mind is strange and mysterious, and Farseer Taldir proved this once again upon her conquest of Cronus. The Eldar had broken all who stood before them, driving back men, alien, and heretics alike. Cronus was theirs. However, instead of securing their hold on the world, or enacting some final gambit, they simply vanished like the ghosts of legend. The Eldar returned to their ship, the Vision of Lilith, which evaded all attempts to track its exit from the Cronus system. Taldir left behind her a planet in anarchy, littered with the corpses of her enemies, and destined to become a lawless backwater for centuries to come. Perhaps that had been her intention all along. Perhaps Cronus itself, and the warlords who might have arisen there, were the threat Taldir had long foreseen and finally defeated. The truth, like the Farseer's ultimate fate, remains a mystery. The Imperial Guard arrived on Cronus in pursuit of the Eldar Farseer Taldir. General Lucas Alexander found more than his prey there, however. He found his destiny. General Alexander claimed the abandoned city of Ironworks Bay as a base of operations and found there the massive Hellstorm cannon of an Imperator war titan. Tech priests had brought this fearsome relic to Cronus millennia ago, soon after it was cut from a heretical war machine during the Horus Heresy. When the general reported his discovery, the Imperial Guard's high command issued him new orders. He would secure the Titan's gun, along with any other relics of the tech priests, and would then return Cronus to the Imperium of Man, ordering him to drive out the aliens and heretics besetting this world. Segmentum Command named Alexander Governor Militant and created the 1st Cronus Regiment from his ground forces. The new governor quickly renamed the city itself Victory Bay, making it his new planetary capital, while his men adopted the sobriquet of Liberators for the regiment. When the Blood Ravens Space Marines began the purge of Cronus, the Governor Militant refused to retreat. His orders were clear. Regardless of the demands of the Space Marines, the Guard would fight the Blood Ravens along with all the other invaders. No amount of trickery or deceit could forestall the Emperor's justice when the Liberators finally tracked Farseer Taldir to the frozen train of Tyrea. With the witch's web gate sealed and her forces crushed, Governor Militant Alexander soon held the Xeno-Farseer in his hands. Drugged and imprisoned, she would ultimately be handed over to the Inquisition. Taldir's capture meant Governor Alexander's original mission was at an end. However, in a rousing speech before the troops in Tyrea and broadcast across the planet, Alexander reminded his soldiers of their duty to return Cronus to Imperial control. Father Martel, the governor's own confessor, blessed this mandate in the name of the immortal God Emperor, and the regimental commissars called it the duty of all loyal guardsmen to push on to total victory. Despite the legions of aliens he threw against the Liberators, Warlord Gorguts could not stand against the might of the Imperial Guard. The Orc chieftain's escape would later put a blemish on the victory in the Green Coast. But in the immediate aftermath, most assumed he had died in the cataclysmic explosion that destroyed his encampment. Governor Militant Alexander entrusted the job of cleaning up the now divided Orcs to Captain Gregor Vash's 2nd Company. Vash broke his forces up into individual hunter squads, offering rewards and glory to those units that confirmed the most kills. The Ogrins under his command took this contest to heart and collected massive piles of orcish skulls for themselves. The company commissar eventually forbade this practice as incompatible with the Imperial creed. He spent some weeks in the Medicae Temple after informing the Ogrin warriors of his decision. The Liberators' 3rd Company provided the bulk of Governor Militant Alexander's troops during the final assault on the Word-Bearer's Warp Gate. This choice was astute, as 3rd Company had been drawn from the Cadian 15th Regiment and were veterans of several hard battles against Chaos forces on their home world. The men of 3rd Company did their duty admirably, despite having to fight across warp-blasted terrain and face countless twisted horrors. In the wake of the bloody battle, the company came to be known as the Demon Killers. But scores of men left their lives on that corrupted soil, and many more were maimed and wounded. The toll of the battle was higher still among the sanctioned psychers supporting the troops. The presence of so much unbridled warp energy drove many to madness or to lose control over their strange abilities. The regimental commissariat oversaw the execution of those lost to the enemy. The terrifying battle through the underground labyrinth of the Necron Catacombs cost the Liberators dearly. The implacable foe claimed scores upon scores of lives, notably wiping out 4th Company's 2nd and 5th platoons. But when the smoke cleared from the great detonation which collapsed the catacombs, a great cheer arose from the survivors. In several places, the ancient structures of the Necron tomb world emerged from the desert. Father Martel, confessor to the governor and the de facto archdeacon of Cronus, ultimately condemned these as heretical blights, which continued to corrupt all those who spent time near them. Governor Militant Alexander took his words to heart and had his men use further bombs to reduce all ruins to rubble or bury them under tons of sand. Certainly one of the most hard-fought. The Imperial victory over the Tau forces in Asharis was definitely the most celebrated of the Liberation Campaign. In the death of the ethereal Shiores and the retreat of his forces, Governor Militant Alexander saw the completion of his dream of once and for all stripping Cronus from the Tau Empire. A military parade through the streets of Asharis marked the victory, along with repeated scenes of sanctioned destruction of the signs of alien occupation. The regimental commissariat also established offices in Asharis and other liberated cities where citizens could provide information on those who had aided the alien occupiers. The trials of accused collaborators were rapid and deadly, the Emperor's justice having no mercy for traitors to the human race. The clash between Governor Militant Alexander and the Blood-Raven Captain Thule could only end in blood. Both had explicit orders, and both were convinced they acted with the Emperor's blessing. Only when the Liberators had driven into North Vandea and leveled the Space Marines' Castellum Incorruptus did the Blood Ravens cease their purge of the planet and withdraw. Although orbital salvos from the Blood Raven's battle barge leveled much of the remains of the base, Governor Alexander directed his men to conduct a careful search for any records the Space Marines might have left behind. Their search was not in vain, and Alexander uncovered records linking the chapter to past visits to the planet, as well as disturbing contradictions in the chapter's history. It seems likely that these discoveries led directly to the Inquisition's probe of the chapter soon thereafter. With the last alien bastion broken, Governor Militant Alexander stood as the uncontested ruler of Cronus, and a hero to his men. Even faced with the opposition of the Blood Ravens, the governor carried out his orders and received his rewards. Indeed, Segmentum Command ordered the Liberators to remain on Cronus during a pacification period, and then to ship out to the next conflict zone. Governor Alexander would remain behind to rule in the God Emperor's name. Large numbers of tech priests arrived on Cronus to oversee a massive campaign of public works, bringing with them the huge resources needed. In return, they gained permission to resume study of the Hellstorm cannon in Victory Bay, hoping to return it to the Emperor's service. As for the Liberators, Governor Alexander promoted Captain Vash to Colonel and placed him in command. With the regiment still loyal to him, a planet at his command, and the tech priests of Mars in his debt, Lucas Alexander had begun his rise as a power to be reckoned with in this sector of the galaxy. Driven from Lorne 5, the Orc war boss Gorgut's headhunter managed to return as a greater threat still during the Dark Crusade. He formed a new war band from Orc freebooters and pirates and others pushed out of the Lorne system, and set about raiding worlds on the outskirts of the Tau Empire, gaining resources along the way. When Cronus sent out desperate calls for help against the Necrons, Gorguts sent his forces to strike at a vulnerable target. Gorgut's war fleet dropped out of the warp only to find Imperial and Tau fleets squaring off above Cronus. The Orcs lost several ships, but the clashing fleets were unable to repel the large number of rocks Gorguts threw into the atmosphere. These massive landing ships, made from converted asteroids, smashed into the Green Coast and unloaded their bands of Orc invaders. There, Gorguts brought the local feral Orcs to heel and set about his conquest. The war had come to Cronus. Faced with the Orc horde, Farseer Taldir was perhaps too wily for her own good. Gorguts was more than happy to cut through the rebellious Orcish chieftain and self-obsessed heretic she used as dupes. Smashing the gates to the Eldar Wraith ship, Gorguts caught the Farseer in a simple noose and strangled her with it. On Lorne 5, Gorguts had tried and failed to claim Taldir's head, but this time he succeeded. As the fragile bodies of the Eldar lay broken across the frozen soil of Tyrea, the warlord and his horde howled at the night sky. Unable to make any real use of Eldar technology, Gorgut's beasts simply destroyed every piece of wraithbone they could find. In the wake of this grand sacking, Gorguts assumed the name Ghost Killer. Before his arrival on Cronus, Warlord Gorguts had raided several other Tau colonies near the Damocles Gulf.
This experience served him well as he sent waves of his boys against the Tau defenders of Asharis. Bloody melees between Orks and Kroot showed the barbarity of both races, and Gorguts was happy to send waves of his Orks to die under Fire War fusillades until he could overwhelm their lines. In the end, however, the fall of Asharis was a frustration for Gorguts. With the Tau forces retreating and taking the corpse of their ethereal with them, the Orc warlord was denied the gruesome trophies he loved so much. His frustration at not having Aunel's skull was epic in scope, and Gorguts is said to have personally eviscerated the Orcs who actually killed Aunel, blaming them for not securing the ethereal's corpse. This outburst of pique, after a great victory, won Gorguts the name of Rage Screamer. Accustomed to the vilest of environments, Gorguts' Orcs ran headlong into the gruesome catacombs of the Necrons. Although the Deathless Warriors reaped a massive bounty in Orcish lives, for once it was they who were swept under a ceaseless tide, as more and more of the green beasts poured into the caverns. When Gorguts detonated the massive explosive that brought down the caverns atop the Necrons, he left scores of his boys to be crushed. Nevertheless, the survivors cheered their boss, even laughing at the ruthlessness with which he had sacrificed their fellows. Gorguts' headhunter left the Thur'Abis plateau without any fresh skulls, but with the new appellation of Deathkiller. The Blood Ravens chapter had faced more than a few Orc assaults over its history, notably smashing the Great Horde on Tartarus. Perhaps because of this, the Orcs under Warlord Gorguts approached the assault on North Vandea with especial glee. Here was their chance to prove themselves stronger than their race's greatest enemies. Victory in North Vandea cost Gorguts a huge number of his boys, but the Warlord was happy to pay the price. Gorguts himself mounted 2 helmeted Space Marine skulls on his gruesome boss pole, and his followers emulated him. Many Nobs and other larger Orcs who survived the battle mounted Blood Raven helmets on their weapons or wore them on slings as war trophies. In the years to come, the battered red helms of the Blood Ravens would remain the most prized trophy among Gorguts' Orcs. For himself, the Warlord celebrated his victory by taking on the name Gorguts Bloodspiller. Gorguts had suffered at the hands of the Imperial Guard on Lorne 5, and saw his assault on Victory Bay as a chance for revenge. Unfortunately, Governor Militant Alexander and his first Cronus Liberators were unable to deny Gorguts his want. The Orc tide swept through the desolate city, spilling the blood of men with virtual impunity. When the smoke cleared, Gorguts and his Orc mechs faced the remains of the Great Hellstorm Cannon, severely damaged by the desperate last acts of the Tech Priests of Victory Bay. Unconcerned with the heresy they enacted, the Orc mech boys scavenged every last component from the great circuits, using and abusing them to add power to their primitive guns and vehicles. In the wake of this battle, Gorguts assumed the name Gunsmasher. On Lorne 5, Warlord Gorguts had clashed with the Chaos Lord Krull, and that experience served him well when he sent his horde into the Deimos Peninsula. Although huge numbers of Orcs fell to the foul demons and black sorceries of the Word-bearers, Gorguts had plenty to spare, and eventually overwhelmed the heretics. Gorguts mounted the skulls of Black Apostle Eliphas and his sorcerers on pikes, and had them carried as grisly standards for his Waaagh. The other Orcish chieftains, as ever imitating the Warlord, promptly went on an orgy of decapitation,
mounting the heads of the countless cultists and Chaos Space Marines left dead when Eliphas withdrew. In the wake of his victory, Gorguts assumed the name of Demon Killer. With the last enemy beaten, Gorguts' horde reigned supreme on Cronus. The warlord had draped himself in the cruel glory of the Orks, being hailed as the Headhunter, the Rage Screamer, the Blood Spiller, the Death Killer, the Daemon Killer, the Gun Smasher, and the Ghost Killer. The Orcish horde proceeded to pillage the planet to build their next invasion fleet. Gorguts himself set off at the head of that fleet, but Cronus remained an orc-infested world. And the warlord regularly returned there to gather forces for his next conquest. With such a fertile base of operations, the warlord would cut a swath through the Imperium's eastern fringe and the Tau Empire for years to come. The rise of the Necrons and the arrival of other powers on Cronus was a threat the Tau Empire could not ignore. With their doctrine built firmly around the so-called greater good, the Tau could not tolerate seeing a thriving colony taken away from them. The Ethereals, leaders of the Empire, responded to the distress signals from Cronus by sending some of their best and brightest to retake the world. Aunel Shiorez was among the most lauded of a new generation of the Ethereal caste. He would be responsible for restoring proper order to this wayward world. With him came the military leader, Shas Okais, a student of the teachings of Commander Puretide. Okais brought a massive force of Firecast warriors, as well as auxiliaries from the Tau's allied races, the Kroot and the Vespid. Tau ground forces landed in the city of Tash'n, or Ashadis, to use his true Imperial name. And from there began the Crusade to retake the planet as a whole. Okais' drive into the Necron Catacombs relied heavily on the stealth and speed of his forces to deliver a fusion bomb to the heart of the deathless enemy's power. His gambit succeeded, although he left many soldiers behind him. In the wake of the battle, Aunel Shiorez directed the creation of a vast research complex on the Thur'Abis plateau. Under the protection of fire warriors, the scientists of the Earth caste began the slow process of studying the technology used by the Necrons. The few pieces of Necron weaponry and smashed warriors that did not fade out of existence were subjected to very close scrutiny indeed. Whether or not the Tau Empire was ever able to make use of this ancient and loathsome technology is unknown. But their weaponry continues to advance, much to the chagrin of the Imperial forces facing them in combat. The Tau forces who came to Cronus had not fought any major battles against the Agents of Chaos, and could not know the madness that awaited them. Nevertheless, Okais' forces held strong, refusing to give in to the demons and heretics. The force pushed forward and finally disrupted the black enchantment that had brought the Chaos Space Marines to Cronus. Somewhat miraculously, not a single of the Tau soldiers fell into warp heresy during the assault. In the wake of this battle, however, the soldiers of the Fire Caste struggled to understand just what they had witnessed. Aunel Shiorez acted quickly to preserve his forces against the power of heresy. He ordered that all structures and ritual artifacts on the peninsula be leveled and the area sealed off under guard. Crute carnivores who had partaken of the flesh of dead Chaos Space Marines, and cultists were ruthlessly hunted down, lest the taint make its way into their gene matrix. The legendary Tau commander Farsight had led troops on Cronus some decades before the Dark Crusade, and had smashed the Orc horde of the war boss Bonecracker. Okais studied Farsight's tactics, and used them in his assault on the Green Coast. By eliminating Warlord Gorguts, he plunged the Orc horde into a cycle of infighting that effectively took them out of the battle for Cronus. Still, Aonel Shorez was hardly pleased that Cronus' jungle remained infested with feral orcs. Even with other opponents still to fight, the Ethereal directed significant numbers of fire warriors and Crute carnivores to hunt the remaining orcs, taking back 1 square kilometer of jungle at a time. The Crute proved the most successful here, taking over much of the ecosystems of these areas in order to hunt down the orcs. Soon, the jungles of Cronus resembled the Crute homeworld of Pesh more than anything. Tau forces and Space Marines had clashed on Cronus during the Damocles Gulf Crusade. But these had been small hit-and-run engagements. The Tau assault on North Vandea was something else altogether, with Okais leading his troops in an assault on the entrenched and well-defended Blood Ravens. Warriors of the Emperor, the Space Marines left many Tau and Crute dead, but were unable to hold back Okais' tide. When the Blood Ravens left Cronus, many of their finest soldiers lay dead in North Vandea. In the Blood Ravens, Aonel Shorez saw what he considered the worst of the Imperium of Man. The Ethereal called their faith madness, and their purge of Cronus murder on a global scale. He chose, thus, to preserve the remains of the Space Marine fortress in North Vandea as an example of the opposition the greater good faced in the wider galaxy. Although other powers on Cronus threatened the Tau forces there with outright extermination, the Imperial Guard forces, centered in Victory Bay, threatened the legitimacy of the Tau claim to the world. Given the aliens' unshakable faith in their own cause, this was, in many ways, the greater threat, and Okais led his forces into Victory Bay as crusaders against heresy more than anything. This drive ultimately overcame the defenses set up by Governor Militant Alexander's forces. In the aftermath of the battle, the Tau rounded up the surviving guardsmen and established a re-education camp in an attempt to make them betray the God Emperor and embrace the Tau cause. Many resisted, most notably a Kasserkin squad which managed to escape into the countryside and launch a small guerrilla campaign. But others succumbed and surrendered all they knew to the Tau. In the years to come, the forces of the Imperium would have reason to rue this last betrayal, as Tau forces struck at weak points on several planets. The Dark Crusade represented one of the first major clashes between the Tau Empire and Eldar forces. Both alien powers favored speed and stealth, and both employed a variety of inhuman technologies. Ultimately, the young surpassed the old, and Okais forces overran the Eldar in Tyrea. The Tau forces were very keen to learn the secrets of Eldar technologies. Negotiations for the release of Eldar prisoners could begin only after hostilities ended on Cronus. In the meantime, Watercast diplomats conducted extensive interviews with all Eldar prisoners. Earthcast scientists, meanwhile, dissected and analyzed the technologies of the Eldar. Although the Tau quickly analyzed Eldar laser and shuriken weapons, more esoteric weapons like the warp-powered distort cannon and the nature of the wraithbone material used in so much Eldar construction proved much harder to crack. With the last enemy stronghold broken, The toehold on Cronus became secure once again. The task force sent from the Tau homeworld remained on the planet to secure it, and soon thereafter, further waves of settlers and colonists arrived from across the Empire. The humans left on Cronus found life increasingly difficult for them. Many had embraced the Imperial return, and now found themselves subject to re-education or other penalties. Intensive colonization by Tau and Kroot led to a rapid demographic swing, with the human population dwindling to less than 5% a decade after the Dark Crusade. Although no public announcements were ever made to this effect, it seems clear that human births on Cronus also dropped precipitously. In part, this is due to the single-gender re-education camps imposed by the Tau. But it is also possible that the alien powers undertook some form of sterilization project, all for the so-called greater good. Whatever the truth, when Cronus was admitted as a full sept of the so-called Third Sphere, its human population was but a footnote. The Space Marines of the Blood Ravens chapter arrived on Cronus like the mailed fist of the Emperor. Acting under orders from his chapter master and chief librarian, young brother Captain Davian Thule ordered the Blood Ravens to carry out a thorough purge of this world. The chapter master had told Thule that ancient relics of the chapter were hidden on Cronus. Artifacts from the mysterious early years of the Blood Ravens. These sacred items could not be allowed to fall into alien hands. Captain Thule ordered the withdrawal of the Imperial Guard forces stationed in Victory Bay. But Governor Alexander flatly refused to pull his men back. Thule judged the governor a good man, but had little choice but to send his Space Marines to battle the governor's troops, along with all the other powers on Cronus. The Blood Ravens' willingness to fight soldiers of the Imperium did not go unnoticed. Whispers began that the relics on Cronus were more damning than holy. Only the war's victors would be left to decide the truth of the matter. The Blood Ravens had suffered Eldar trickery on Tartarus and Rahe's paradise not long before their arrival on Cronus. In Tyrea, they avenged their fallen battle brothers with alien blood. By sealing the Eldar Farseer Taldir's webway portals, they blocked any possibility of her escape. What followed was a careful hunt for every last alien in Tyrea, culminating in the death of Taldir herself. The chapter's librarians, for their part, spent much of the aftermath of the battle studying the remains of the fearsome demon summoned up by the Eldar. This so-called avatar of Cain, the savage incarnation of a blasphemous alien god, crumbled into inert matter at the battle's apex. Epistolarian Teus, senior librarian on Cronus, made sure that each piece was collected, catalogued, and shipped back to the chapter librarium. In later years, this would cause the Blood Ravens no small amount of trouble. As they had on Tartarus, the Blood Ravens cut with surgical precision into the heart of the Orc horde on Cronus. The hardened Space Marines sent into the depths of the Green Coast answered the green tide with waves of bolter fire and the faith of true soldiers of the Imperium. The swamps ran red with the blood of Orks as camp after camp fell to the Blood Ravens' purge. That Warlord Gorguts managed to escape Cronus weighed heavily on Captain Thule. He surmised, correctly as it turned out, that the Orc would someday return to plague the Imperium again. In an effort to make sure no other Orcs survived, Thule ordered a massive scorched earth campaign, burning hundreds of thousands of square kilometers of jungle to purge the Orks once and for all. The Blood Ravens' assault on the Black Temples of the Deimos Peninsula replayed the tragic battles of the Horus Heresy. Once again, Space Marine fought Space Marine. One side holding true to the Emperor's light, the other fallen into blackest heresy. The Blood Ravens faced this battle with zeal, anxious to bring down those who had betrayed all they stood for. In the end, the Blood Ravens weathered the assault of demons and traitors alike, closing the warp gate that was feeding the heretical army and bringing down the fiendish Black Apostle who led it. As for the desecrated temples and foul shrines that dotted the landscape, the librarians of the chapter cataloged and recorded all their contents. They then undertook the safe transport of these black artifacts to their librarium, where they could be safely destroyed. When the Blood Ravens leveled the Governor Militant's palace in Victory Bay, they brought an end to a sad conflict within the Imperium. Both Captain Thule and Governor Alexander were acting under orders of their superiors, and neither could back down when those orders brought them into conflict. Captain Thule and Chaplain Nicholas went so far as to praise the slain governor for his stalwart dedication to his orders. With his death, they arranged for the transport of the surviving guardsmen off-world. Most were sent towards Segmentum Command, with testimonials that they had done their regiment proud. The Blood Ravens were less forgiving to the rebellious guardsmen of the 5th Company. Although these men had shouted their loyalty to the Emperor's Angels of Death upon the death of Commissar Gebbet, the Space Marines showed them no favor. Indeed, these guardsmen had taken up arms against their regiment, and the Blood Ravens judged them traitors to be executed. During the earlier Damocles Gulf Crusade, the Tau Empire had repelled the Nova Marines who landed on Cronus. In their assault on Asharis, the Blood Ravens more than avenged the Nova Marines' defeat. Much as the 3rd Company had during the Battle of Magna Bonum on Tartarus, the Blood Ravens' 4th Company fought its way through the streets of Asharis, one block at a time, pushing back at the Tau Fire Warriors and Kroot Carnivores with steely determination. The Tau commander, Kais, did manage, however, to cheat the Blood Ravens of one prize, namely, the body of the ethereal She-Horez, which would undoubtedly have ended up under study in the chapter librarium and apothecarion. As it was, Apothecary Gordian spent many days collecting the alien blood samples left behind when the Tau withdrew with the corpse of their slain ethereal. The final assault against the Necrons in the Catacombs under the Thur'Abis Plateau became the thing of legend among the Blood Ravens. Descending into that sepulchral underworld, the Battle Brothers must have felt cut off from the Emperor's light altogether. Nevertheless, they fought with all the courage and steel of the Imperium's finest, bringing holy fire to the enemies of all life. Those brothers who emerged from that charnel underworld marked their armors with a small elongated skull, emblematic of their fallen Necron foes. The chapter's 2nd Company, which contributed most of the forces sent into Thur'Abis, would add the Necron skull to its heraldry and adopt the motto, Victory over Death. After many long and bloody battles, the Blood Ravens finally completed their purge of the planet Cronus. The battle barge Litany of Fury remained in close orbit, imposing a strict prohibition on any visits to the world, while the 5th Company maintained the Castellum Incorruptus in North Vandea. The Imperial Guard Segmentum Command lodged protest for the Blood Ravens' actions, reporting them to the Inquisition. The Blood Ravens successfully defended their actions, convincing their interrogators that General Alexander should have bowed to the Blood Ravens' orders and withdrawn. Nevertheless, the Inquisition kept a watchful eye on the chapter, for the rumors of hoarded relics never fully abated. Likewise, many in the Guard's command structure never forgot the blood shed on Cronus. And indeed, the darkest time in the chapter's history began soon after the war's end.